Yes, Saya. Once again. mm, hit me.
Who are you? What's happening? Why are we listening to this?
It's the deluxe version that you're listening to, tuned into Styx Weapon of Choice, the spoken word album, the anthology, the myth, the legend in the flesh, now in software.
Now in software.
Yeah. Plan B. Um, Plan B was a is a is a living poem, so to say. It's a poem I pull out every now and then to check myself. Is that friendly tap on the shoulder? Hey, why are you going this way? Thought we were going here. um, I started writing it when I was in Scotland as well, pursuing this master's degree in sound design, which was a sort of a compromise between following something that I really wanted to do with the music and also having like a some sort of alternative application of those skills within sound design for film, for animations and art in general. So and yeah, it wasn't at all what I thought it was gonna be. Learned a lot of shit, but it was so different from what I was looking for, and just that whole process of going to another country to realize that what you picked was not what you wanted, and this realization of why you're always choosing in between. Why are you not just going for what it is that you want to do? Um, and it's been a struggle of mine for a long time. Like, okay, but I need to have something. Everybody keeps telling you you need to have something to fall back on. You need to have something to secure yourself. But it's obvious. I mean, if you're gonna spend 50% time on something that people spend 150% time on, then you're never gonna be in the elite. And that's just how it's that's the cold facts. uh, and it's just that realization. I think everybody has a plan A, plan B. Everybody has a dream of their ideal self and the I don't know if it's ideal self or self realization, manifestation of the perfect you somehow.
But when was that moment?
Um,
You were in Scotland, but
I was in Scotland. There was a friend of mine from New York called Mauricio. Shoutouts, Mauricio. Maori. and he was at that same space, and we were talking a lot about this. Man, this is shit, but okay, let's just get the best out of it anyway, like, and we're kind of like we were at the same place somehow, both with the ambitions and also by the choice of what we were doing here and how we kind of got disappointed somehow. There were a lot of cool stuff as well, and it's just this dialogue and the talk about, yeah, when I get back I'm gonna do this. I'm like, when I get back I'm gonna do this. I mean, wasn't this what I went here to do? It's a constant postponing of things. I remember the first time I performed it wasn't even done. I performed it at the Wee Red Bar in Edinburgh. If you ever go there, the Wee Red Bar.
The Wee Red Bar.
Yeah, that's why they say little in Scotland. They call it wee. Wee Red Bar. I can't even say it. And it was this amazing evening with loads of artists and talent organized by this curator also from New York, Betsy Davis. Um, a lot of talented people just in that town, and that the circle of friends, um, and I was asked to do a 30-minute set, and I delivered. Exploded that scene. Drop the mic. Call me mic dropper.
Call me mic dropper. That's not good. that's not something to perceive. Okay.
Nah, things went well. Things went really well, and people were really excited about the spoken word. I think they hadn't experienced it that way before either. But I pulled out all the poems that I really had and wanted to present that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me to close the evening as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, you kind of put me on the spot there. Like, hey, I don't really have no poems, though. But you can close it. Nah, man, just one more. I'm like, oh, okay. So I had just, kind of gotten into the first draft of Plan B, but it wasn't that finished.
Mm.
And I whipped up my phone. Lucky I had an internet connection. Found Dropbox. And I remember I did the poem, and the reaction was just, I hadn't experienced that before. It was the first time I performed that poem. I hadn't practiced it at all, and it wasn't done. But people went crazy about it. That's all they talked about that evening. Everybody was like, yo man, that poem, like, I really feel you on that one. I need to do something with my life. Yeah, but wow.
What? Really? But okay, why I'm wondering this is because you said that it was overwhelming, the feeling.
Yeah.
But are you used to people understanding your poetry like that?
No. In Scotland, like I said on the previous section, if you listen to that, that I was on this team for the university spoken word team, and when I started performing there, it's just a completely different response. It's just because that's the native language, English. And when you perform in Denmark or in Sweden, and like people, that's not their first language, There's just a lot of things would just go over your head, and it's not to patronize, because really it's, nah, I just stop there. It's just not your first language, so obviously there are things that you will miss, the details and certain things. But the response from that one, like that was kind of the topic of the evening, like all over, wherever I went around, like, yeah man, I really need to get this done. And that's what I'm saying, like that poem is so relatable. Anybody can relate to that. If you've ever dreamt of something, becoming something, and just that reaction of actually seeing how spoken word can move someone in that way. That was that was really moving for me. I remember when you guys heard it, where you were like, you're never gonna write anything better than this. I'm like, hey, I know this is good, but
easy now, easy.
I got more shots in the barrel.
True.
It's
a heavy one though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it like that is one of the essences in creativeness. I mean, as a child, you're told you can be what you want to be. And the manifestation of that poem is just actually fulfilling that childhood dream.
Yeah. But at the same time, you're told you can be what you want to be, but when you grow up, you're like, hey, you really want to be a fireman? You really want to do that? You know, like, and certain like, you know, sometimes you have dreams that other people consider as low achievements, but this is what you really want to do with your life because you find joy and happiness, and this is an aspiration that you've had for a long time, but people push you to go somewhere else that you don't really find yourself belonging to, you know. So it's not about saying that your life is not the optimal, but it's like checking, are you doing what it is that you want to do, and why aren't you doing it if you don't want to do this? You know. um that's why it's that friendly shoulder tap.
The
Hey.
reminder.
Yeah. And it's actually, I mean, I've gone through so many processes with this poem, like with the writing first, and then performing it, then the video now, and I've kind of already gotten tired of it somehow. But it's also like, because every time I listen to it, I can't help but think about, well, are you pursuing plan A or are you pursuing plan B? And so it's a constant check. It keeps me in balance somehow. Cause figuring out what you want to do and what you're dreaming of is one thing, but actually taking the steps to walk that road, you know, like the measures that are needed to pursue certain careers, or just to, you know, beyond imagination of what you initially think. And there are certain sacrifices that you have to make that seem unsacrificable. If it doesn't exist, it does now.
Sticks quotables.
To other people. I mean, like, if you know, if you spend your weekend working and then go to your other job, and they ask you, "What are you doing the weekend?" You're like, "Yeah, I was working." But don't you relax? I mean, you don't ever get free time, and you know, yeah, that's my free time. That's how I choose to spend it. You know. And that's not even doing this 100%. That's doing it. I'm not good at math now, but 2 out of 7 at least. You know, and every time in between lunch breaks and whatever you get, you just put into it. Nah, so Plan B is it's a reality check. There's nothing else.
How was the process in writing it?
It was quite fluent actually. I mean, when I sat down, the first parts of the poem, actually the first things that I wrote, like it wrote itself somehow, because if you read it through or listen to it, no, whichever way, it is somehow a stream of consciousness and of self-awareness, and that's how it was actually written. Many of my poems are either tantrums. I've had enough of something, or observations about something that have occurred in my life. Often about myself, or from my perspective. And Plan B was just one of those, you know, where I just, you know, as I was writing, you know, I shocked myself. Like, okay, but oh, this is what it leads to then. I mean, obviously, when you're doing this, you can't do that at the same time, you know. How are you ever gonna expect to do that, you know, to that level that you wish it to be? It was, but also when I started writing as a form of, I started writing poetry as a form of, I don't know, diary, or I've never really written diaries, but like I don't know. It's a way to ventilate my thoughts.
Mm.
Or you have too many thoughts that are occupying the space in your mind, and it's an easier way to sort of get it out, arrange them, make sense of what it is that you're thinking. So that's really what Plan B is, and yeah, it wrote itself really. I think it took about. I mean, first draft was maybe a week.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So it was quite fast, actually.
That is very fast.
Yeah.
In comparison to.
Yeah. In comparison to other phones, like Pebbles took, or Miss Brown took, yeah, that was the incident, and then I had to ask for permission, which I didn't really, but then I talked to her. And then I just needed time to sort of, digest everything. It took about a year or something.
A week is.
Yeah, that was fast.
Fast. I didn't know. A week is fast. For us.
Yeah.
A week is fast.
But I mean, obviously, like that was first draft as well. You notice how the poem changes when you're performing it. It sort of takes on a new life. There's the part where you write it, and then once you start performing it, at least for me, it reshapes itself. Certain things fit better, and when you're writing for a reader, not a listener.
Mm.
Even though it's performed, but once you start performing it, you correct it for the listener. At least that's my process somehow. And then you can have ideas about, oh, okay, this could be cool to do when performing or something like that. But yeah, it took on a different life, a different form. And after the performance at the Wee Red Bar, I looked at it again and said, okay, there are certain things I wanted to change because I felt it could be better somehow, And
How is that? I mean, going from the best or the greatest, most influential reaction that you've ever got, isn't that a big risk in rewriting it?
I think that's the point where you have to trust yourself as an artist.
Because if you literally have everyone having that topic for the night, everyone telling you that, hey, that was the greatest one, is there not that risk of making it worse?
I think once you have a model that you compare yourself with, which is perfection, it can never be too good. You know what I mean? Like that's what I always strive for. I can never get there. And it might seem a bit pessimistic, I guess, or not that bright. If you strive for perfection, you'll never get it. But it's how I grow as an artist and how I develop. And that's, I mean, looking at it, certain phrases just didn't fit, and it was just written for. Even now, when I rewrote it for the book, then it was. There are things I'm like, why is this there? I mean, out. Doesn't belong here. This is why would I ever say that? And maybe I should have left it, but yeah, you'll never know now. You'll only see what I could reach in my strive for perfection. Yeah, that's really what it's about, I guess. Being the best that you can be. Yeah.
I mean, writing in that way, the best that you can be, knowing that you'll never reach perfection. Classical question, when do you know? But at some point, you have to pull that string.
Mm.
Is it often outside? Um, is it outer influences that makes you pull the string, or
As in to define when it's done?
yeah?
Or,
Because I bet it's been through a few processes, and each time you thought that, yeah, now it's done.
mm. I think it never really ends. That's the beauty of something that you have to recite in order for it to be sort of seen or heard. You know, it might reach a point once you record it, then that is the reference point of reference. But when you practice spoken word, it's like going to a theater and seeing a play. You will never see the exact same play, but you'll see different versions of the
Based on the same story.
yeah, so to say. And during that time, from the beginning, when once they launch the play until they have their season finale, then they will have gone through a process will just make the interaction with the audience and how they present themselves, manifest themselves on the stage different and more confident. All of these things that, in my opinion, will create a better piece. And as long as you continue performing it, it will always be different. It won't always be better. Sometimes, some days are worse than others. But slowly it will increase in in its art form or in its own aesthetic, so to say. Uh, but yeah, I think for me, the creation of the soundscape for Plan B, uh, sort of put it at a resting place or a pit stop. Because I really felt like, okay, this poem is so grand, you know, it is something that should be, it should keep you on the edge when you listen to it. It should make you want to get up for the chair and just pause that, and just do something. And I really felt like we achieved that with the soundscape that we created, the music. It went up to a higher unity somehow. So yeah, I'm happy with the result. Very content. Um, made it marketing friendly.
Is it the greatest piece you've written so far?
No, actually, I think the greatest piece I've written so far is yeah. What title should I give it now? The pay me poem there. Yeah. I think once I get that, and that's also a poem, like it's done, but it's not done because I need to perform it more for it to like reach its own sort of place or worthness, or how do you say?
But they're on the same theme.
Yeah.
It's not like they're cousins.
I mean, one is about reaching or striving for the dream, or like setting, like realizing what it is you're doing and either pursue the path that you're on or change it, right? The other one is more as in, I'm a professional and you need to treat me as a professional. Why is the art sector treated differently from the construction industry, art industry, let's call it that, or cultural industry? And it's like, certain type of cultures are okay to be paid for. Yeah, architecture, that's culture. Football match, that's culture, right? That's a game. But all of a sudden, when it comes to music or spoken word, or sometimes even art exhibitions, you have a case of beers, just
To a bunch of Muslims who don't drink.
Yeah, you know. And it's just that the realization of how much, I mean that poem needs a different interview, but it's it needs to be recorded first of all. But it's just the realization of a point I want to make is when you realize how much the cultural industry is dependent on free labor to function. That's when you realize your power as an artist. There are so many bars that don't have the cash to pay artists, but they generate income when the artists play there, because all of a sudden it becomes a place of attraction. Because every Sunday night they have live acts at the whatever, right? And the bars are capable of, making a turnover so they can survive, but not to incorporate others. And that's where you need to enforce that survival of the fittest, yo. Like, hey, you're not strong enough to be able to pay all of your employees, because that guy coming there every Sunday is also your employer. A lot of festivals, Roskilde Festival, totally dependent on volunteers. Couldn't run without them.
I could never pay them.
No, they get free entrance, but that's not an expense. It's the same thing. Have a case of beer, you know. And so, as long as there's nothing wrong with gaining experience. All these internships, apprenticeship, whatever. There's nothing wrong with it as long as it's equally benefiting. But as soon as someone is using you to achieve something which you are not getting a part of, then that story's over, At least for me.
But how would you tell people then, if we were to go back to Plan B, how would you... Plan B, from my understanding, is following the passion. And it's the whole constant question that all artists always get of, how do you know you have a passion? Or how do you make people passionate about something? And we've asked a lot of artists this, and they've all said it and walked around it in different ways, and instead of just going, hey, I don't know. I found it. But I'm throwing it on you. You must have got the question. How have you answered it? How have you...
How do I know if I have a passion?
How do you, when someone asks you about your passion, and they always go, I wish I had something I was this passionate about. How do you answer that? What do you tell them? We are sounds that inspire conscious souls.
When somebody says that, I wish I had something that I was just as passionate about, it's not that they don't have the passion. It's that they don't have the willingness to pursue the passion. Because, everybody loves something. If it's, making apple pie, or performing at Roskilde Festival, or whatever. Everybody has a passion. But it's that, how much are you willing to follow that passion? How much are you willing to set aside to pursue it? And what they're actually saying is that, I wish I had the willpower to pursue it like you have. I think everybody has a passion. Though, now, I'm also working with some kids now, right? And it's frustrating when you have kids, you're trying to give them, you're trying to skip the equation and give them the result. And you're like, is this kid that doesn't know what to study after 9th grade, I just want to provide for my family. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you passionate about? What do you like? Yeah, I'm pretty good at math, all right, and do something that, yeah, I don't know, I like games. Become a programmer. Math, games, hey, software programmer. That's right there. Nah, I don't know. I'm like, but these are two things that you like. Put them together and pursue, and when it can be, maybe somebody needs to go through an experience before they realize that it is their passion, you know, or it's something that they're really passionate about. Maybe he has to play some incredible PlayStation game before he realized, wow, I want to make something just as that. I think it's just as much as seeing what is possible in whatever thing that you're just a little bit interested in. You know, I saying, whoa, okay, it can be taken that far. How far can I take it? You know, but yeah, maybe I'm contradictory now. Because I really do think everybody has a passion, but yeah, everybody don't have the willpower to pursue the passion. I think that's probably the or maybe they have the willpower, but they don't have the willingness to set other things aside. Maybe that's where it is. It's all about time. That is the currency that we deal with when you talk about passion. When you talk about dreams, that is the currency that we work with. Do you have the time, the discipline to pursue and to work for what it is that you want to achieve? You can put those two together, you will achieve some sort of passion that is of a higher level. How high is up to you.